Eliot Stott eats the boxing repeats. I'm joined by Irish fighter Kevin Cronin on a Tuesday afternoon in London. Kevin, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Nice to chat to you again. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I'm really good. Are you based in Ireland at the moment?
Yeah. I'm down home now. I'm in Kerry today, so I'm not in Dublin training until.
Nice, nice. And how's the current? I've got to bring it up. How's the current COVID situation where you're at the moment?
It's good. It's actually it's becoming good now because they we had 5 levels, and obviously the worst we're in level 5, and we're down to level 2 now since just Monday gone. So it's wet.
Yeah,
Bars
yeah,
and stuff are open. I haven't got
good.
my chance to get a taste of them yet, but in a couple of
No,
weeks I will.
no, I can imagine.
But yeah, look, it's good. We're kind of getting back to normal, thank God. And look, hopefully soon enough there'll be full capacity crowds back in arenas and everything.
Yeah, no, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. So I know that you had a fight in Luxembourg a few weeks ago, or it was back in March actually. It was a little while longer than that. I know you got the
Yeah, it was
stoppage.
like
Yeah,
March 30th.
yeah. How did? Can you? Would you mind just
Um,
talking me through the fight, how it went?
yeah, it went well. Going into the ring, I was a bit wary about what kind of ring rust I'd have because obviously I had been out since my York Hall fight in the summer of 2019. I was meant to be out. We had a couple of fall throughs in 2019, and then we said, "Oh, we'll be all right. We'll get going 2020." But then COVID happened. But anyway, I had a bit of ring rust going in, so I was wary enough about going into just hopping into the ring. But I said I'd just stick behind my bag, jab, and stick behind my boxing for the first round or two, and see how it works out. But to be honest, once I got in there, I got the feel for it straight away. I didn't show any ring rust, to be honest with you. Maybe the first 10 seconds of just a bit jittery, just kind of getting back into it. But I like the minute I threw the first punch, I kind of stood back a bit, collected myself, and said, "All right, here, let's go." But yeah, look, I thought it went well. I stuck behind my jab, and I I I done more boxing than I usually do. To be honest with you, I used my jab. I was coming in out of range. I was just making him miss a lot. He threw a lot of big shots, but I don't think he actually connected with any big shot. To be honest with you, but he threw a lot of them, and I pulled out range and didn't go back into range and score my shots and pull back out. And I knew it was irritating him a bit because he just kept loading up that bit more and more. And I kind of said to myself after the first round, I said, "All right, maybe stick to this." And do you know what? These big shots, he can't throw them all day. And I know, I trust me, I know I used to throw a lot of big shots in the amateurs, and I know they take it out of the gas tank. I
Mm.
said, he'll start feeling it if he goes another round like this. I didn't expect him to. I thought his corner would tell him, to cool down with the big shots and maybe establish a jab or something. But he came out in the second round, and he actually, the second round, he went attacking the body, which it was a smart move because it wasn't working to the head for him. And I wasn't expecting it. I didn't get hurt to the body or anything, but he came in, he caught me with a body shot, and I just kind of said, that was stupid of me. I shouldn't have been caught with that. And as I said, I wasn't hurt. It didn't put me down or anything. I just knew that he found an opening there, and I didn't let him catch me with another one. I kind of got behind my boxing a bit more, and then towards the end of the second round, I was kind of picking him apart with the jab. I was just scoring him, and I knew towards the end of the second round, I could see he was starting to just blow a bit harder and heavier. So I sat down a small bit in my punches, and I just started not so much throwing heavy shots, but just sitting in. And when I was throwing the shots, I was throwing an extra few shots in the combinations rather than the two or three punches I was doing and pulling out of range, and I was staying in there a bit longer. And then the third round, I done the same. He came out swinging, and I kind of copped. Yeah, he could just be firing his last few cylinders here and seeing what it'll do for him. And I let him do his bit of swinging for the first 30 seconds, and then started boxing him again, and then sat down on my shots. And I started finding a few openings to the body then, and I found an opening to the body, and he kind of backpedaled a bit, and I caught him in my uppercut, and he backpedaled into the other side of the ring, and I knew I kind of had him in trouble, so I dropped one to the body, and then I left off a flurry upstairs, and I put him down with the right hand, and I think he got some sort of an injury when he went down, but the ref said, "All right, continue." And as soon as the ref said continue after the count, the bell went, and he was retired in the corner. Then his corner put him out of the fight. So yeah, look, I was very happy with the display and very happy with the rounds I got. I would have been a lot happier if I got the full 6 rounds, to be honest, or even if I went on to the 6th round before I got the stoppage. But I can't complain. Look, I got a good 3 rounds in that fight, and I was very happy with it.
No, good to hear it. Thanks for breaking it down for us. And yeah, glad to hear it went well. One thing I just wanted to touch on was, I know that we first met at York Hall in that fight a couple of years ago, and I'm not going to try and pronounce your opponent's name from that night, 'cause it's a bit difficult too. But for one thing I remember that from that fight was it felt like your opponent was trying to basically hang on for dear life throughout the fight. I know you knocked him down, I think it was the 3rd round from what I remember. But he clearly kind of wasn't there to win. He was just there to kind of hear the final bell, and he managed to do that. Do you think that your opponent from a couple of months ago, that was more of a case of he did come to win, he did come thinking he could try and beat you, or at least kind of had belief he could do? Or do you think he more just wanted to see the final bell as well?
I don't think he was too worried about the final bell. He was a last minute change. I didn't know much about this guy, and I looked at his record and I said, he only had a few fights. He had 1 win and 2 losses or something like that. And I said, it was a hard one to go by. But I said he could be there, just to get to the final bell. But then, of course, I still had to be alert, because a record like that is very hard to go off. And next thing, I kind of knew from the first 20 seconds, he wasn't there just to see the final bell, because he was straight onto the front foot, and he was trying to make a statement at the very start of the fight by catching me with big shots if he could, but he didn't. I think he was there looking for a win, to be honest with you.
Nice. And just keen to hear about the experience of going to Luxembourg as well. Did you have to get there early to quarantine? What was the experience? What was the arena like? I know it's perhaps not a country famous for holding fights. Could be wrong, but just interested to hear more about that experience, really, if that's okay, Kevin.
Yeah, 100%. Look, there was a lot of stuff we had to do, and we had to do the PCRs, and we had to do a PCR. We got to the airport. There was a load of other paperwork. To be honest with you, I can't even remember what it was. There was just a load of other proof stuff. Half of it we weren't even asked for after going to the bother doing all of it. But we landed in Luxembourg. Then we got over. We had to do another PCR. But that was actually going to be for a return flight, and that took longer than expected. And we were cutting it tight enough with our weigh-ins, because we had like a 2.5-hour drive down to where we were fighting. We flew into Belgium, and next day we actually missed the weigh-ins, to be honest with you, and we had to weigh in later, and there was no officials there, and it was all a bit of a mess, and it must have been 11 o'clock at night when we were weighing in.
Oh, right.
That's the last thing you want, going a full day. It's bad enough going to maybe 6 o'clock, without food, without water, not to mind going a full day of it. But I was good enough with weight, I didn't have to struggle. Like, there were a lot of guys there that, they were cutting while we were in the car. They were still worrying about their weight, whether they'd make it. I was safe enough. But we had to drive all the way up to Luxembourg. Then we weighed in that night, refueled the next day. Then we had to see doctors, and they were giving PCRs in where we were fighting. I wasn't sure what the whole story was there, because they'd set up and they were doing the fast PCR test for a lot of people. But I actually never got tested, so I don't know. It was a bit all over the place. Even as you say, it's not very well known for pro boxing or shows over there. Maybe that was a lot of the reason of it. I thought the officiating was it was dreadful. It was very, very bad. Luckily enough, I didn't leave it to the scorecards, because the scores all day and all night there were absolutely outrageous. Even if they weren't robbing people, it was like split decisions and just silly things that shouldn't have been. And there was one very bad decision, Joe, where an Irish fighter actually ended up losing, and even the refereeing, it was very, I'd say it was an amateur referee, to be honest, in my fight, because anytime I caught my opponent with a punch, and I could feel, if did I caught him, the ref would jump straight in between us and push us apart, or else he'd, start giving you a warning about a slap, even when it wasn't a slap, it was very, very, very silly stuff. And there was one combination where I was letting go. I left off about 8 punches, I'd say. And then I kind of changed the angle, and the referee just put his hand in and goes, "Stop." So I stopped. And next thing, I stopped. Next thing, I looked at the referee because he didn't say anything else. And next thing, my opponent hit me. And then I was just like, what is going on? It was just my own fault, really. I should have been protecting myself a bit better, but it was a shambles. There was another fight actually on the card where a guy from Belfast was boxing, and it was one of the first punches he threw, he actually dropped his opponent, and next thing his opponent stood up and they just continued boxing, and he got dropped flat in his back, and next thing picked himself up with his hands and continued boxing. The ref didn't wipe their hands, he didn't stop it or count or anything. It was you know what, I'm just very, very lucky that I got the stoppage over there, because I wouldn't have felt safe at the end of the fight, even in the hands of the judges, to be honest.
No. Fine. Well, sounds like quite an adventure. I think be interested if you have kind of an away fight like that again. But saying that, obviously want to touch on your next fight, which is in a couple of weeks in Spain, I believe. Can I ask how that's come about? Who's that with? Can you tell me much about the fight?
That's actually the promotions. I'm signed with Boxing Ireland Promotions, decided to run a show themselves. So it's actually their show that they're running the show in Alicante in Spain. So that's a good one now, just to get out again before. To be honest with you, I wasn't expecting to be out until September or October again. So this is just going to be, I'm just very happy that this is there as a keep busy to keep me going until this fight in early October, the end of September, 1 to 2, because I'm hoping to get an 8-rounder then. So I'm just happy now I'm going to get 4 rounds in between then, and I won't have a long layoff. So very happy with that. But Boxing Ireland Promotions are running that show, so there's going to be a lot of Irish on that show.
Fantastic. And I'm sure you'll come through unscathed in a couple of weeks' time. Just wanted to ask again, kind of, I know you're kind of 3-0 now, hopefully soon to be 4-0. Have you spoken to your team about a plan for the next 12 months? I know it's kind of difficult to predict things within the pandemic. You're not sure what's going to happen, but do you have any sort of plan in terms of how many fights you want to have at least? Has that been discussed?
Yeah, well, look, if I showed a lot of ring rust in my last fight, I probably would have been reluctant enough about pushing on, and I would have maybe just kept them building throughout the year. Maybe just get tougher journeymen and things like that. But to be honest with you, I was on the phone to my manager the last day, and I was fairly sharp in that fight, and we were just talking, and the plan kind of is get this 4-rounder out of the way, get a very, very good camp in, get a good 8-rounder in Belfast. Look, I'll get the 4-rounder out of the way first, and then we'll talk opponents for Belfast. But the plan is that should set me up nicely to challenge for the BUI Celtic title at the end of the year. So the plan for this year is to come out at 2021 holding the Celtic title.
Fantastic.
And then hopefully next year. Look, there's a lot of options. If I can go on and win that Celtic title, then there's a couple of different roads we can take. I can go down I can go challenge for the Irish title. I can go fight a tough ranked opponent. There's a lot of things we can do. Obviously, I'm kind of not making noise, but I'm trying my best to get a fight in my home county in Kerry, because I don't know, has there ever been, I know there's been professional boxing there, but I don't know, has a Kerry professional ever fought in Kerry? before. I don't think it's ever happened, so I'd love to do it. And there's a very famous big arena in Clarny, so I'd love to do it there. So that's another option for next year, and I think that looks likely as well. So there's a couple of different routes we could go with next year, but the plan for me right now is to hopefully come out in 2021 with a Celtic title. That would be very, very nice after coming into a year where we're going into the unknown, not even knowing if I'd have a fight or not, to be honest.
Yeah. No, fantastic. Well, no, exciting times, and no, looking forward to continue to follow the journey as well, for sure. Like, am I right in thinking that like you're willing to go to Luxembourg, you're fighting in Spain, back in Belfast, you've been to London. If the plans weren't to materialize the way you've said, are you kind of happy to continue fighting abroad rather than fighting back home? Is that the case, or are you just quite insistent on wanting to fight back home?
Yeah, look, I've got good sponsors and stuff like that. So if there was going to be no fights in Ireland this year and I had to keep going to Europe, I'd keep going to Europe, because like 2020 was bad enough. I can't go another year, going, just not fighting. So I can't do that. But I actually like fighting abroad, because I think I'm getting a lot of experience too of traveling out of the country, making weight, going fighting, getting rid of the jet lag, stuff like that. I very much like that, because I do like, if I like, let's say, get this Celtic title out of the way and I want to go on and fight a ranked opponent, I'm not going to get any of them fights in Dublin or Belfast. Well, I might, but I'd be very lucky to get a ranked opponent, a highly ranked opponent, to come to Ireland to fight me. If I want to challenge someone in the top 100 in the world, and I say, and they're in America, and I say you have to come to Ireland, they'll just laugh
at
me, like, and so it's good to get that experience out of the way now as well. To be honest, London, I don't really going to London. It's only an hour's flight. It's not like traveling halfway across the world to fight. So to be honest with you, I see Fight Zone now with Kevin Murray they have that going now. So that's something I'd love to get involved in too, because obviously I know I follow Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat, and I see you've been following a bit of me as well. So I like, I think that I like to fight in England. So I actually was planning pre-pandemic to build myself in the UK, as well as continuing to build myself in Ireland. So look, the minute things are back to normal in a couple of months, and as I say, hopefully I'll be holding the Celtic title in. But I think it's time, like, and I'm gonna speak about this to my management too. I think it's time to kind of head back over the pond as well to London or wherever, maybe Manchester, wherever, somewhere in the United Kingdom, and pick up where I left off, because I'd like to get another couple of fights over there as well, maybe next year, and just continue building myself over there. Because there's a lot of Irish in England and London, especially now as well, and it's it'd be nice to go over and give them something to support as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that would be great to see. I hope that's the case. Really hope to see that happen. As in terms of the promotion company that you said you were with now, if a fight for you was to happen in London, do you think there's a chance of them having a show in London, or do you think it's more likely you'd be part of another show in London if you were to come over the pond?
I don't know. I presume after this lockdown, they'd like to get as many shows in Ireland as possible.
Yeah. And
having to travel away to Spain this summer, because they can't get one in Ireland until after September, really. Then I don't know, could I see them traveling abroad to make a show for the next 18 months? Maybe they will. I don't know what thinking will be behind it, but I presume once they get back into Ireland, they'll want to run a few shows here. So I'd imagine it'd be going over to fight on other promoters' shows.
Yeah.
But I don't see anything wrong with that either. Do you know what? Because again, even these promotions have their own casual fan base that follow. They go to all their shows as well. So that'd be that's a different more people to, kind of show myself off to and build a fan base there too. Plus, look, when you're on the road like that, going to other promoters' shows, then, you're building experience and getting to know new people too. And, all them people can come in handy down the line, or you just don't know who you might impress that might be sitting ringside for any of these promoters' shows. It could be the making here. So I'd imagine it'll be going on to other promoters' shows if I can.
Yeah.
I'm just talk to my managers, and I'm sure there'll be no bother there, because look, they have a lot of boxers that go over to England fighting, and they kind of know I wanted to build myself there, so there should be no bother, and they have good contacts over there as well. So I'd say it'll be easy getting me on other promoters' shows over.
Definitely. Well, yeah, it's not going to cause any harm, and as you said, good experience going to lots of other places as well. Last question from me, Kevin. Really, I'm just we've got a great light heavyweight scene in Britain at the moment. I know, obviously, Joshua Buatsi, Craig Richards has fought for a world title recently. We had the Lyndon Arthur Anthony Yard fight as well. Callum Johnson, just not to forget. Is there anyone out of those fighters, or anyone else that I've mentioned, that really stands out to you in the British light heavyweight division? Someone who do you think could really win a world title, for example, in that division?
Yeah, look, Joshua Buatsi really is the main man there now at the minute, isn't it? Behind Joshua Buatsi, I'd say Callum Johnson would be kind of the next in line that I'd favour to win a world title. I'd probably think Callum Johnson win a world title before Lyndon Arthur would. I definitely think Lyndon Arthur could win a world title. He's got a beautiful jab. It's the jab that most boxers just wish they had. But I could see Joshua Buatsi, I think he'll go on and win a world title soon. And he doesn't hold the world title. But I think he'll go on and win a world title. And Callum Johnson, he had his moments against Beterbiev. He dropped Beterbiev. I think he was he the first to drop Beterbiev? I think he was anyway. He could do it. If he got another shot at Beterbiev, we know he has the power to put him down. But all he needs to do is do a bit more with it and make sure he doesn't get back up. Beterbiev isn't the type of person you want to go 12 rounds with either, because he's got ferocious power. But yeah, I'd say Joshua Buatsi, Callum Johnson. Behind him, then I'd say the next closest would be Lyndon Arthur. I can't see Anthony Yard beating Lyndon Arthur. I think Lyndon Arthur outboxed him a lot in that first fight. Well, now it was a close fight, but when you're watching it, it was evident enough that Lyndon Arthur did only have one hand in that fight too. So I can't see Yard beating him. I'm not saying he doesn't stand a chance, but I can't see him beating him. But yeah, Buatsi, Callum Johnson to win a world title it'd be my bet.
No, great. And just to confirm, it looks like a rematch between Yard and Arthur could happen this year. So would you predict another Arthur win on points in similar fashion, or do you think it could be an even closer fight? Do you think it would be wider on the scorecards? Are you able to give me an exact prediction if there is that rematch?
I think Lyndon Arthur just win down points again. I'd say he'd win it a bit wider, because I think it was early enough in that fight when he started complaining about his hand in the corner. And I don't even though Yard's fought for a world title and all that, I think he still seemed a bit inexperienced compared to Arthur in his corner. There was no one in his corner to tell him up until it was the 10th or 11th round that he only had one hand. And that's the kind of information you need to get straight away when it happens. That could have changed the whole game, but he should have the experience too to figure it out for himself, that he hasn't thrown his right hand in 6 rounds. Look, I just think even with the coaching backgrounds and everything, I think Lyndon Arthur will win down points and a bit wider as well.
Yeah. Cool. Well, hopefully we get to find out. Well, Not sure how long it's been, but thanks very much for your time, Kevin. It's really appreciated. I know you were working earlier today, and yeah, great to speak to you again a couple of years later after we first met. Yeah, all the best for a couple of weeks' time. Would be great to catch up later in the year if the fight that you mentioned does happen. It'd be great to do something more in depth before then. But yeah, all the best for a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, perfect. Look, thanks for having me, and thanks for the best wishes. And look, hopefully we'll be talking to each other ringside in the next couple of months as well.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Yeah, if you're at York Hall, I'll definitely be there.
100%. I'll be there again. Don't worry.
Cheers, Kevin. All the best.
Nice one.
Bye.